One of the hardest things that we have to deal with as academics, as researchers, professors, graduate students, is coming to terms with where you stand in terms of your performance. And we all run into those moments where you work really hard and you think that you're making progress, but then you actually don't make a lot of progress, or the external world thinks that you're not making that much progress. And I wanted to say that pause at that moment and reflect on why you're doing things, and reflect that you're just a good person, and that you have to realize that those metrics are not as important as you think they are. And I've seen this in all sorts of walks of academia, of the research world, and it's really important to consider that. So if you don't know me, I am Professor Dave Massack. I'm Associate Professor of Innovation Strategy and Entrepreneurship. And I created this whole reciprocity project to give back as much as I possibly can. There's so many people who help me out that I want to pay the favor forward to help you out. So this problem is not just within academia, it's not just with researchers, it's not with people that are in school, but everybody experiences this from time to time, whether they are somebody that's being a stay-at-home parent and they're looking around and they're thinking that everybody else is ahead, or they're looking at where they stand in terms of what their kids are doing, or maybe that they are going into becoming a professional athlete, or they're starting a career and they're looking around and they're thinking that everybody seems to be much further along than what they are, and the world is rewarding them in a different way than what they thought it was going to be. And every time that I feel like this, I have to take a step back and reflect on what's going on. And this is very important, no matter how prolific and how amazing you are in academia or in business, whatever. You could be the top professor in the world where you're producing an enormous amount of research, but there's always going to be never enough. There's always going to be something that you could do. There's always going to be somebody that says, whether it's an administrator or somebody else in the field, saying that you're not doing enough. Your stuff is not important. Your stuff is irrelevant. And it happens to everybody. And you have to take a step back. And I know when that happens, it's going to eat you up. And you're going to go through a moment where you're going to feel a complete crisis. It does. And it's not a moment. It's a matter of months, maybe even years, where you reflect on that. But you have to take a step back and know why you're doing something. And remember, the reason why you do things is because that you matter, and that you're doing good in this world, and that your relationships that you have matter. All of those things are more important than the performance metrics that some random person might be judging you on. You're going to have to start realizing that as you go and you build, especially those of you who are academics and researchers and graduate students. You have to get to the moment where you're at peace with doing things because of the sheer joy, because they're beautiful, because that they actually are critically important no matter what happens. It's kind of thinking, in some ways it's thinking about why you actually might become a minister, for example. And one reason that you can measure why you'd become a minister is you might count the number of parishioners that you have at your church or your missionary or your synagogue or whatever. And you might count them, and you might think that, man, there's only 5 people that are here that show up on a weekly basis. There's only one person that actually gives money to my religious organization. I must be doing a really bad job. Until you realize that there are 5 people that are listening to you, and that you're probably touching their heart. You're really reflecting on them. You're making them think in different ways. You're making them feeling a critical part of their life that they wouldn't get in any other way. And if you didn't do that, they would probably go to some other, maybe it's some scammy person, and listen to them, or maybe they would be lost in this world and they wouldn't know where they were going. And maybe that they would do something that was bad and do something that was very destructive. So instead of thinking about the performance metrics that you have and where you stand in this world, think about doing things because of the fact that it's beautiful. It's the right thing to do. It's honest. It is. You're doing it because of the virtuous nature of it, not because of the fact that you're doing it to gain some sort of performance in this world. And I want you to really reflect on that, because this is going to be one of the most important things that you're going to have to deal with to keep you going, to get up and get going. There's going to be a moment, and I guarantee it, all of you who are watching this, there's going to be a moment, maybe you're going to have many, many, many moments where you're going to pause and think about whether you're doing the right thing and whether you're good enough. But you have to get up and get going and realize that you don't do it because of those performance metrics, but you do it because of the fact that you're a good person and you care about other people. And eventually, there'll come a time in your life where you're going to die. And you can look back and say, I did it because I was a good person. And that's it. That's really that's all that there is to this. It's not about when you're ready to die to look back and say, hey, I'm a multimillionaire. Look at how amazing I am. It's not it. Or, hey, look at I published 99 publications instead of 98 publications. You look back and you say, I was a good person. I touched a couple of people's hearts, and maybe I changed their thoughts, and that's it. So with that, give me a thumbs up. Do subscribe to the YouTube channel. Take care and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.